So Tina, I'm so glad we get to talk about your book. But I think one thing that will surprise a lot of people is the revelation towards the end of the book where you reveal you were diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yes, I was. In 2020, I was supposed to go and get a mammogram, and of course, COVID came, and they stopped doing mammograms. So they told me they would call me when they started doing it again. So in my brain, I thought I had it that year. I didn't, and so in 2024, I went in to have one, and I found out that I had breast cancer.
Mm.
And what they told me, it was a very slow growing breast cancer, but it hit me because I had no idea that there was a stage 0 cancer, breast
Mm-hmm.
cancer. And I found that out during that process. And so if I had gone when I was supposed to first get the mammogram, they would have caught it in the 0 stage. But it was only in 1 because it's a slow growing cancer. But it just struck me that one decision of me, not a conscious decision, but a mistake on my part of not going to get my mammogram, I could have gone and it could have been stage 3.
Mm-hmm.
And this happens to women all the time because we kind of put ourselves last and, you're running around. So I thought, I need to put this in a book and talk about that journey. There were also other things that were really important, like I chose not to have radiation because they kept saying it's at the very early stages and we feel like we can get it all without, definitely without chemo, but the hospital wanted me to have radiation. And I went down this rabbit hole of research and I was like, for me, and I'm not saying that anyone else should do this, but for me, I thought the best choice was not to have the radiation.
Yeah, it's a personal decision.
It's a personal decision, but for me, but you should think about those things and you should know that you have options. And even if the hospital, that is their policy, you still have to advocate for yourself and make the decisions about what's best for you.
Right, you're in control.
Yes.
Let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about this journey. All of a sudden, you are actually in a separate meeting for Sacred.
Yes.
You're building a brand for
Yes.
a hair care line.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, that phone call comes.
Yes.
It's the doctor.
It's the doctor. And this young lady comes in and I'm like, I'll call him back. And she's like, no, he wants to talk to you now. So I knew. And when I tell you that when someone says you're diagnosed with cancer, it is, you don't hear anything else. I didn't hear that it's the very early stages. I just heard cancer. And it takes you somewhere where you don't want to go. It's really just devastating. But, I went back and had another conversation, and that's when I really understood that it was very early stages. So I was very blessed.
A lot of people, I think at home, there are so many women
Yes.
who receive that call, and it is devastating.
It is devastating.
Walk me through what was going through your mind as you're hearing that.
Well, when you hear cancer, you hear a death sentence. And then, everything comes later but that first, the
That
words
moment.
just tear you down and it really devastated me. And I'm a tough cookie, but I went and had myself a good cry and then I called back and I started asking the questions. Yeah.
So what was your reaction? All of a sudden you're here in this meeting,
Yes.
you get this call, and what happens after that? Is it a blur? Or you're seeing people around you in the meeting?
Well, I shared it with the CEO because she's a friend too, and I called her in and I told her, and that's when the tears came. Both of us cried, and she told me her friend had just gone through the same thing. Because I'm 71 years old, and I'm like, I get to be 71, and then I have to fight, breast cancer. So the first thing that came to mind was chemotherapy, me losing my hair, the whole thing. It's devastating to hear it.
One thing I remember hearing in the book constantly, and certainly your daughters opening up, talking about how you are the center of their world and how they rely on you. Who did you rely on when you were going through one of your toughest moments?
Them, of course. I didn't tell many people. I told a couple of my closest friends, my sister and them. And so they just rallied around me. And they were my support system. They made me laugh. They were like, this is early stages. You're going to get through this and it's going to be fine. And I can't tell you, like, even the process, the day that, that I had the surgery, they were all there. They were singing, they were laughing. And so I went in there laughing and just feeling like, just surrounded by love.
Yeah.
And when I woke up here, I came home, and when I kind of dozed off, and when I woke up, all of them were around me. It was the best.
Let's go back into when you were about to go into the operating room. That was scary.
Yes.
Even though it was early, you didn't know what was on the other side.
You don't know until they get in there. And having them there was, we said a prayer. They sung my favorite gospel song. So when I went in there, I didn't feel the nervousness or the fear, or even though it's scary, I was just laughing and at peace. And just love is strong. It's powerful. So it can get you through anything. Yeah, it can.
What was that song that they were singing?
Walk With Me.
Walk With Me.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that
Through
song.
whatever I go through in life, God is going to be with me.
Was there a song? Did you sing along with them?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. But I can't sing, so
yes, you
I didn't want to mess it up.
You had a group long ago.
I did, long time ago.
So that's got to be a special song just for you and for your family.
It is. It is. When Michelle first, she auditioned on that song, and so they used to sing this gospel medley all the time. So that was just so thoughtful for them to think of that.
As I think about your book, and you talk about so many moments where you were actually there for your daughters, all of a sudden the roles reversed, and they were your rock. You say they were your ride or die.
Yeah, they're my rocks and ride or die. They were, they became the parent. It's been many times in my life when I went through my first divorce, they all surrounded me one night. We ate ice cream and set it off, and they got me through that. So it's full circle. You parent them, and then one day they parent you. Yeah.
What do you think is your message to women who are out there who all of a sudden get this devastating call?
That, my faith also, I have to say, I mean, my kids and my friends were great, but my faith in God was there. And whatever your higher power is, I think that's the time you got to pull it out and really depend on that. And just to stay positive, because there's so many, it's not a death sentence. You have to fight, and you got to, balance your life and put it in perspective and just fight.
And you gotta find your crew,
Yeah,
right?
you gotta get
when
your
you
crew.
are down, you gotta find those who
Absolutely.
love you, who support you,
That's
and help
right.
make you strong.
Right.
And that was your girls.
That was my girls.
This was such a journey. You go through the diagnosis.
Yes.
Then you go through getting the surgery. And of course, you have doubt along the way.
Yes.
What do you think was the hardest part for you?
I think the hardest part was like a week before I had the surgery, that even though I did feel very positive and about it, you get the nerves. You're like, what if they get in there and they find something else? And, because you just don't know 100%. But I did get a test that that is supposed to tell you if you have any other cancer cells. And I mean, I really feel like women should do that, because it did give me a lot of comfort. But then at the, right before, you're like, well, no test is 100%. And so it was a lot of nerves, that week going into the surgery.
So then all of a sudden there comes a moment where you have to let the girls know.
Oh, that was hard, because, you want to protect, as a mother, you want to protect their feelings. And I knew that they would be, I thought that they would take it worse than they took it. But, I called, the same day I called Beyonce, because I found out in the evening, and told her, and she was like, Mom, we're going to take care of this. She just became this little warrior figuring it out. And I called Kelly, and we said a prayer. And then the next morning, I waited till the next morning to call Solange, because she lives in New York, and it was much later. and I wanted her to be able to sleep. So even at that
being
time,
a mother, being the
yeah,
matriarch
even at
that you
time,
are.
I'm like, oh, I don't want her to be up tonight stressing about it. And so I called her the next morning, and she was just so strong and so positive.
How do you think that this actually changed you? How did it change you?
Well, it just made me more appreciative of all the things that I've done and gotten to do in my life. Like, I have had an amazing life.
Oh, yeah,
you
no
know, you
doubt.
read the book. I've been all over the world. I've met kings, and I mean, I've had this amazing life, and so it just made me appreciate it more, and also to appreciate myself. And
Which, as women, we don't always do enough.
you don't. And you know, I had just done this book, and so I was all fired up about my life because a lot of times I just took it for granted, and I didn't really self-talk to myself and say, you know, you're a badass, and you've accomplished a lot of things. So I had just done the book, so it was perfect timing for me to go through this, and it just made me feel even more certain that I didn't have to always play myself down.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore.
Good. That's great.
Yeah.
Do you think it changed the way you navigate in the world?
I think yes, I do. I think I have more confidence to say and to be myself 100% and to be proud of myself. And I know that it made me take better care of myself because, you know, I get so busy and I get so involved in all my projects and all my kids and my friends, and I put myself last a lot. And I have not done that since that diagnosis. I get my massages every week. I go and get facials. I relax. I take vacations.
So is that the key to your beautiful skin? I mean, how gorgeous you
I
are. Did
work
you
hard
say
on it. I work hard on it.
71?
71, yes.
So, can I look like this at 71?
Oh, God, well, you know, look better. But so I take better care of myself. And I think I value the time. I really appreciate my time.
Yeah.
You know, when I go to church, I'm like, everything is just brighter and better, you know?
And maybe that's part of the self-care, surrounding breast cancer.
Yes.
But it's not just a physical thing that we're fighting, also mentally, spiritually,
That's
and
right.
emerging your better, stronger self.
Exactly. And so now, this Sunday was a great example. I've been gone for 5 months. I was on tour with Beyonce. I was on tour with my tour. And I got back and I was telling my assistant, I said, I really want to go to church, but I had to present an award. So, you know, in the past, I probably would not have. I would have been saying, well, I've got to go give this award and it's going to make me late. And I said, you know, I deserve to go to church. So I got up and did my makeup before and went to church, and I needed it so bad. But I have a tendency to put myself last. And that was big for me because I was late for my event, but I did what I needed to do for me. And that's a change.
Because you're always behind the scenes, even behind the scenes of the success of your girls.
Right.
And now you are being front and centered. In fact, I want to, let me get an iPad because I want to talk a little bit about that award.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. This is you. Can it play?
I've always said that the best job that I've ever had is being a mother. I've had the privilege of raising and helping to raise 4 daughters. I'm a crybaby. 2 that were born to me and 2 that were a gift to me from God. You know, I was somewhat of a rebellious teen and a young adult. And I didn't always follow the rules. But the day that I became a mother, I decided that this was one thing that I wouldn't screw up. I've been so blessed in my life to do many things.
So, how does it feel? You know, when you look at that moment. Whoops, hold on.
You just want to make me cry.
When you look at that moment, what do you feel?
I feel so emotional because it's really true that that's the best gift that God could have given me, is just being a mother. I love it. I love everything about it.
And seeing your girls out in the audience?
Yeah, that was, it was really touching, because when I did that, nobody knew, that I had just had breast cancer surgery. And, my doctor wasn't even sure that I could go, because it had only been a couple weeks before. But nobody knew when I said anything that I go through, that they'll help get me through. They didn't know what I was talking about. So looking at it now, it's like, it just means, I can refeel that moment, because that's why I was crying so much. I was so emotional.
I saw you looking out into the stage and looking at your daughters. What did you think when you looked up and you're seeing Beyonce emotional and just beaming with pride?
Well, all of them. I felt pride, and I felt, so loved and so seen, because that was a lot for them all to get there. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I felt really seen and really loved.
And it's got to be special just as a mom, seeing all your girls,
Yeah.
Solange,
Yeah, it was the best.
and Kelly, and Beyonce, all there to support you and just love you. And it's like there was this little secret going on that people had no idea what was happening behind the scenes of that award.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying, is that when I said they helped me, make me feel like I could get through anything, I had just gotten through that, so it was big. And my niece Angie also, I have to say, because she's been with me forever. She's another one of my ride or dies. Yeah.
I just want to, take a moment. Is there a message that you have for other women? Because fortunately, you caught this in the early stage, but there are some women where they're at a later stage and they're not getting the best news. What would you say to them to just inspire them, just to keep pushing and to have hope?
Just because it's new medicine coming out every day. And you just have to, part of your recovery is being positive. It's just thinking the best thoughts and attracting the best to you, and just having your faith.
I think that's a really good point, because you have to will your body to do the right thing.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
What do you think gave you the most comfort during this whole experience?
Again, my faith, just knowing that God was with me. I never, other than that first initial time they told me, then you do think, oh, God could die from this. But that honestly was the only time I thought that. I was just so positive throughout this process, and I just kept moving and doing what I needed to do, and I just had faith that it was going to be okay, and it was.
Well, God provides.
Yeah,
I believe that. I'm a believer.
Yes.
How do you think this whole experience has changed you?
Again, I think that it made me more aware of how amazing my life has been and how amazing I plan for it to be for the next years that I'm here, because I'm 71 years old. I don't know how long I'm going to be here, and that I need to make sure that I get the things done that I want to get done. Doing a book was on my bucket list. I pretty much fulfilled everything on my bucket list, but just making sure that I take the time for me to do the things that I want to do for me, and not just be all about everybody else in my life, because I'm codependent, so that's just what I do. So I think it makes you really aware of, you start thinking about mortality, and you start thinking, well, what do I want to leave behind, and who do I want to leave words for? This book is my gift to my kids, because they get to read about their great-grandmothers. They don't want to hear about that right now. They're too young.
But they have this here to really cherish.
That's right.
Because you feel your heart in there. And you also, what I love about it is that you just see the journey, even from your parents.
Yes.
And what their journey was about.
Right.
And then they talk about yours, and through it all, finding your voice, which
Yes.
clearly you help your kids find theirs.
Yes, and connecting the dots for me, because, you know, this, I encourage everyone to go and do, Ancestry or something, because my great grandfather came and he had a bakery. Well, my dad loved to bake cakes. My dad was like the macho man. So I'm like, why do these men love to bake? He didn't know why he liked to bake, because he didn't know the man was a baker. My great grandmothers were seamstresses. And so you figure out things about yourself,
Right.
where you got this from.
So that was already in your genes.
That was already in my genes, yeah. And just, I know my mother was a seamstress, and she loved to sew and decorate and do all the things that I love to do. But I didn't know that my great-great-great-grandmother, who was enslaved, had the skill of being a seamstress. So it's just passed down. It connects the dots for you.
That's amazing.
It really does.
That's
yeah.
amazing. I need to
Good
get mine
and
done.
bad.
Good and bad?
Yeah,
Okay.
some kind of bad stuff too.
Okay. Well, one thing I remember reading is that your husband also had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And they discovered he had the BRCA gene.
Yes.
What are your concerns now for your daughters, and what's the message that you're telling them?
Well, that people should get tested for BRCA. Absolutely, they should. I didn't even know about BRCA until he got it. And until he got cancer, and then he called me and said that the girls should be tested. So just educate yourself. So it's not just this surprise thing that you don't know anything about. Yeah.
And the importance of getting your mammograms.
Your mammograms. That is of the utmost importance. Like I said, if I had gone earlier, I would have had stage 0, which I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, well, thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you. This was lovely.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story, because
Yeah.
it actually matters.
Yeah.
There are many people out there who are saying, oh, you know what? I'm going to wait another year. Or,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm too busy.
I'm too busy.
It'll
That's my
happen.
thing all the time. Is I was like, I'm going to go in a couple months, and you look up and a year has passed, or 2 years has passed, and you're like, yeah, I did go. And then when you look back, it's shocking how life just takes you along, and you don't think about. You have the intentions, good intentions, but you don't get to do it.
Right. And then plus, I remember hearing a story of somebody who always got their mammograms, and 6 months had passed since their last one, and they ended up discovering that they had breast cancer.
In 6 months?
So even
That's
though
really
you get
scary.
your checkups, you still need to be diligent.
Yes. About your breast examinations, and which I have to be honest, like I never did before. I didn't do
You're not
it.
alone.
I do it now, but I didn't do it. And so you just never think it's going to happen to you.
So what's your message to all of the young women who are out there?
To take the time to take care of yourself, to go and get your do your self breast examinations. And when you are feeling something, because I felt a lot of itching in my breast, but I was like, oh, well, it's probably just,
Nothing. Could be
yeah, it's
allergic
nothing.
reaction
Yeah,
to something.
whatever. And so just pay attention to your body, and it can mean saving your life. This is your life you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, I know that you shared a lot of personal moments. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I think your story is going to go a long way to really inspire women to get that breast
That's right.
exam, get those mammograms, do
Right.
this self-check, and
know your family history too. That's a really important one. That's the other good thing about the DNA test, is because you learn there's a health part of it that people ignore. But if you really look at it, try to figure out and ask questions of your relatives to see, is it a history of that?
And one last thing, if you can, do you have a message for the people who are caring for their loved one going through this? Because when you get a diagnosis, it's not just about you. It impacts the entire family.
Absolutely. It's a family affair. You just to have hope, and to know that the love and support that you give that person at that time, just calling them and checking on them, just feeling seen and cared for, I think has a huge impact on their recovery.
Was there one special moment where you were just down and scared, and somebody did something, said something? What was
Well, I
that?
think more so, just Solange will call me every single morning, first thing in the morning. And Solange is not that kid that you talk to every day. Like it might take me 2 days to get Solange, or 3 days, because she's so busy with doing things, and she likes her space. And to have her calling me, but there were many mornings that I woke up and I was just kind of laying there saying, this is unbelievable. And she would call and make me laugh, um, and just be so positive, and it made a huge difference. It really did.
And what did Beyonce do?
Well, Beyonce is always take charge, like, let me figure it out, sending me articles. And, it's funny, they all have their thing, because she's about figuring everything out, and oh, listen, I saw this on this show, or I looked at this on the computer, you need to listen to this. You got to be real positive, because the positive vibes are going to keep you up, and they're going to make you stronger. And, what are you eating? And Kelly, again, is the health nut. So she was always like, Mom, you got to stop the coffee. You got to stop.
You got to take your green juice.
You got to take your green juice. I'm going to the farmer's market. And then Angie just had me laughing all the time, because she would send me the most ridiculous little crazy things from Instagram. And so they all played a different role in what they gave to me all the time.
Well, it sounds like you gave them so much, and it was now their time to just repay.
Reciprocate.
Yeah,
That's right.
reciprocate it, give that love right back,
They did.
because you clearly have been a constant force in their life, which is so documented in this book. So, Tina, thank you so much.
Thank
and I'm
you.
so glad that you're healthy, you're well. Thank you, Tina.
All right.
Thank you.
This was lovely. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay, let's get it.
Wonderful.
Oh.